Hey guys, Alex here, creator of the CrockFit app, and welcome back to my YouTube channel, and welcome to the next video in my mini series where I show you home alternatives for common gym exercises. And one exercise which was highly requested from you, or most of you, some of you, was the leg extension machine. And the leg extension machine is an exercise that isolates the quadriceps on the front of the thigh. And at home, we're doing our squats and our lunges, but sometimes you really just want to get that burn, that isolation on the thighs, on the quads. So I'm going to show you home-based exercises that you can do with, first of all, no equipment, and then some home equipment such as bands, dumbbells, and kettlebells as well. So let's get into it. Okay, kicking things off really simply with a bodyweight exercise before we get into equipment, and that is a heel elevated squat. So you're probably doing lots of squats, but as soon as you elevate the heel, your quads get a little bit more work, okay? So you can elevate your heel any way you like. I've got a little yoga mat here and dumbbells. You can use a book, you can use an edge of any platform that is a few inches high. And you just do your normal squat from there, whether that's a narrow position or a normal position. You can just get the heels elevated into your squat and everything else remains the same. And you might want to just focus on pulsing motion, staying in the period of the contraction, which is hardest. So at the top you're resting, so don't spend too much time there. Go down where you get a good contraction and stay there. So that is the first one. However, if you do a heel elevated squat up against the wall, then we can take things to the next level. So you raise your heels up against the wall, and we're gonna do a back slide up on the wall. And from here, obviously, we're going down into a squat and our knees are driving forward. So I think it's a good time to mention it in this video that if you have sore knees or not very strong knees, then quite a lot of these exercises puts quite a lot of stress on the knees. It helps strengthen them, but if you're not at this strength yet, then make sure you check out my video for knee strengthening exercises to build up strength in your knees, make them comfortable to then go on to these isolation exercises. So I'll link it here, but also in the description as well. So check that out if you do have sore knees. Otherwise, come to this position, and instead of our squat where our torso bends from the hip, we're gonna stay upright and we're gonna drop down and we're gonna isolate those quads and just sliding the back up and down the wall. And I can already feel that a lot more than these two that we did before. And you can go down to whatever depth suits you. Go nice and slow, sliding up and down, and that puts strain and tension straight onto those quads. It's a great one. Okay, next we're taking into the reverse Nordic curl, okay? You can do this just on the floor, any soft floor, or you can use a slight platform like I have my yoga mat again, or a towel or a mat of any form. From here, relax the feet. Try to get this long position through the body. Your hands can be at hips or across your chest. And from here, we're gonna load up the quads and the hip flexors and the front of the thighs as we start to tilt backwards and then pulling back up. You'll already start to feel the load going through the quads, and however strong you are will determine how far back you can go. We don't want to go back and then start to break at the hips. It will still work, but not quite as much as keeping that straight position through the body, loading, and then pulling back. We're getting that leg flexion and extension that we're looking for here, like we would in the machine, and pulling back, feeling the work on the front of the thighs. The next one is an all fours leg extension. So you come to an all fours position, and from here, you pick the knees up and you extend the legs from this position. If you are just working on your strength now and picking things up, then you should feel that working. And if you did lots of those, you'll definitely feel that working. However, there's a great way to add resistance to that exercise, and you really get this one working. So you need a resistance band for this one. And you apply the band just to the back of the hips, back of the bum, and then you take your hands, you wrap it around your hands, and then you bring your hands onto the floor. So we've got resistance now against that position that we had. So we come back up into here, bend the knees, and then extend and push away. We need to make sure that the band sits a little bit lower, just underneath the bum. You'll know when you feel it right, because it should feel comfortable, it's not slipping away. From here, bending the knees and locking the legs out. Doing lots of reps of those, you're gonna feel those quads burning. And again, going through the same motion of knee, flexion and extension. The great thing is here, we're getting quite a lot of range of motion. You can walk the feet in and you're gonna get more range of motion. Pushing the hips back, you're gonna get those quads firing. Okay, now's the time to pretty much start replicating a gym machine leg extension in different forms at home, which is pretty much just on a seated position going through a leg extension here. If you have a chair or a bench or a bed or anything quite solid, then that's what you can use. The higher you are, the better really, because you don't want to be touching the floor. So this height isn't great. So a way to get higher and also to increase the range of motion, because if we get to here, we've just got 90 degrees at the knee. We want something that picks up this higher where the heel goes down and we get much further. Because remember, to build muscle, we want to take the muscles through their largest range of motion as possible. By doing that, you can simply add something like a foam roller is one option. So you see here, I've now got more range of motion. I go lower and I go higher. If you don't have a foam roller or that's not comfortable, the same thing can be applied through a cushion. You could kind of wrap a cushion or a pillow or something down there. Might be a bit more comfortable, and you can do a similar thing just to get a little bit more height there. So the first thing we're going to go through, first exercise, is a kettlebell leg extension, one leg at a time. And it's like kettlebells were certainly not used for this function. However, they work really well because of how the foot fits straight through here. So get into the position, it'll be one leg at a time. Into our leg extension position, feed your foot through, and from here, we're just gonna extend up, lifting, using the quads, and think about how well this curve is so that it's quite an easy thing to push the toes up, control down, and then lifting up. As you can see, that's quite heavy, so I'm not getting full range of motion. So this is where I might want to try using the foam roller so that my foot doesn't touch the floor. So from here, and then extending up. And you can see there's a bit of balance and control needed there as well. But that is something that is certainly isolating and working the quads, just like a leg extension would. And I've got a 12 kilos there, so if you have anything like a 6 or an 8 or a 10 kilo, then it's certainly going to be working for a good few sets there. So we can do exactly the same in a dumbbell leg extension. It's not quite as comfortable, and you've got to use 2 feet at the same time, just like you would with a leg curl, clasping the dumbbell with your feet. So both legs at the same time, using the foam roller again, something to get a little bit more height. And then you're just gonna lift the dumbbell with your feet and get the leg extension there. Make sure your heels are pushed in, because then you can be comfortable. You don't need to worry about the dumbbell, then you can start focusing on the quads contracting. And having this extra range really does make massive help. Of course, you can be on a higher chair so you don't touch the floor, but even having your hips lower than your knees is creating that extra range of motion. Squeezing at the top because the dumbbell wants to fall down, so the quads are working to hold. Okay, finally taking it into a resistance band leg extension. Again, just one at a time, one leg at a time. You're gonna attach the band onto something heavy that doesn't move. So I've got a heavy kettlebell, but if you have a frame or something heavy to attach it on, that's what you need. And then you run it through the chair or the bench, whatever you're on. Again, using the extra range of motion under the thigh, if you have it, and attaching just on the leg here. However, there are limitations to this exercise. for example, you get a good quad contraction, but because the force is going back in this direction, the higher you go, the more the band wants to slip up the leg and you lose resistance. The best part of the resistance is in this early phase here. The higher you get, although the band increases in intensity, it's not in the right range, it's just pulling back. So the way to make this exercise even better, even though this isn't bad, I can still certainly feel my quads working, a way to make it better is to attach the band underneath the chair, because now the force will be in a different direction. So a little bit more challenging to set up, but once you get there, it's worth it. So apply some force here, and then you get the band underneath the chair, or if you have the bench or whatever you're using, then apply it underneath if it's possible. And then once you're there, attach the foot in here, just again. Make sure you don't lose that as you bring the foam roller back underneath. Told you there's lots of elements to get into it, but once you're in, I feel like I'm in a leg extension machine. I'm at the gym. And now, instead of the force of the band going back to the kettlebell, the force of the band is going down to the floor. So like I said, the higher up you come in the extension, the more the quads are going to work. And that is probably the best contraction I've got out of this whole video. Right on the top of the quads here. So my favorite would be this one. Second favorite would be the kettlebell extension because of how easy it is to get in. So here are my top two favorites. This one, if it's possible, will really get those quads firing, and you can get the quads working and building without even stepping foot into the gym, without a leg extension machine. Okay, thank you so much for watching that video. I really hope it helped you understand what exercises you can do at home with some pieces of equipment whilst you're either not going to the gym or don't intend on going to the gym, but you want to build muscle in your quads. Make sure you check out that knee strengthening video I spoke about, and make sure you give this video a thumbs up so you don't forget it, and click subscribe if you haven't already. If you're looking for a training program at home or at the gym, then make sure you download my free CrockFit app if you want to train with me and get my one-to-one support in nutrition and lifestyle and everything. Okay, thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.